So today I'm going to be working on my wife's Jeep. Got to do a bit of work on it to get it ready for safety. So we're going to be working on doing an upper control arm, ball joint. We'll see what we can do today. So first thing I got to do is jack it up, and we'll take the passenger wheel off. The control arm and the ball joint all comes as one piece, so we got to replace it all. So once I get the wheel off, then I'll get to see what we're dealing with. Alright, so got the wheel off. Now it looks like we're dealing with 3 nuts here. So there's these 2 top ones, which actually go up into the engine bay, and then this lower one here for the ball joint. So pop the hood, have a look in here. So that'll be the one, and then on the back side down there we have the second one. So luckily they look pretty accessible, so it shouldn't be too bad of a job to do. As you can see, I got the nuts off the top here. So this is the front one, and down there is the back one. So got those nuts off. Next I'm going to try getting this one off. So this one's been sitting for a while with penetrating fluid on it, so hopefully that loosened it up a bit. I'm going to try it with the impact to start, but it looks like the way it's supposed to be done is you stick a wrench on this end here to keep the joint from turning, and then you would stick another wrench on this end. But I don't know if I trust a wrench on there if it's rusty, so I'm going to try it with an impact first, see if that'll loosen it up. At least enough to get it turning anyway. And we'll go from there. Alright, so with the impact on there, it didn't quite have enough power to turn it, so I stuck the breaker bar on. And it actually broke it loose, and it's not even turning the ball joint, so I should just be able to ratchet it off. And then we'll pound it out and stick on the new one. This ended up being a bit more of a process than it needed to be. My ball joint removal tool didn't quite spread far enough apart to fit over top of it, so I had to end up cutting part of the ball joint bolt off. So now I was able to hammer the removal tool in there, and it fits on there pretty snug, so it should just pop out now. Alright, that seems to have done it. That was pretty simple. Just did a couple of cranks on the tool, and she's out now. So I'll just remove the 2 top bolts up here, and then the old control arm should come out. This bolt removal has been a little bit ridiculous too. Wasn't able to pound it out in any way because there's no room to fit anything in there. So I checked online, and most guys are saying, yeah, just pound it out or it'll just slip out. So I had to resort to taking the front grille off, which allowed me to slip every extension that I own through here, which then gave me access through here just like this, and then I could pound that with a hammer from the outside. Now luckily these are wobbly extensions, so I was able to get around everything here and get to that back one as well. So what I did is I slipped the nut back on there so that the end of the extension wouldn't fall off. And then I was able to save the threads that way too. So a little bit of pounding that way was just long enough after having it in there to fit a hammer on there yet, and pounded it, and it did come out. So there was a little bit of rust on there just fusing it in place. So luckily it's out, and the rest of it should be fairly easy going, I hope. Okay, so got it out. Here's the old versus the new. So what I'm going to do now is take the bolts. As you can see, they're fairly rusty, so I'm going to clean them up as best I can with a wire brush just to get that rust off of there. And then I'm going to apply some anti-seize to them, and then hopefully if I ever have to do this job again, it'll make things a lot easier. I have the new upper control arm in place, got the bolts back in on top, haven't tightened them yet. I'm going to save that till the end, till all this is tightened up down here. So now it's going to be a little bit of a tricky part, because when you're trying to tighten this nut, the whole ball joint is going to spin inside the unit. So now what you're going to need to do is take a 10mm wrench, put it on the end of this bolt here, and that'll keep the ball joint from spinning inside. And then it'll be a 21mm wrench that I'm going to use to tighten the nut on top. So that's going to be the next step, getting that all tightened up. Alright, so got everything tightened back up down here. And Got all the nuts tightened up here. So now we're just ready to throw the wheel back on there, tighten the lug nuts, and we'll lower her down. She's done. Alright, so we're all done. Everything's tightened up. So I'm going to take it for a quick spin around the block just to make sure everything feels solid again. And then we're done with the control arm anyway.